Have you ever noticed that when a woman doesn't value you, she doesn't argue, she simply goes cold? No emotion, no closure, just silence. And that silence burns. But here's the paradox most men never see. That same silence, one day starts to haunt her too. Because the moment a man detaches with peace instead of anger, something shifts. She realizes she can no longer control his emotions. And that realization, that's what truly hurts a woman the most. It's not when you beg. It's not when you explain your worth. It's when you stop trying to prove it. When you walk away not out of pride but out of clarity. When your energy is no longer available for her games, the dynamic reverses. Suddenly the woman who felt powerful watching you chase her starts to feel the emptiness of her own choices. This isn't revenge. It's reflection. And today we're diving deep into the psychology behind it. What truly hurts a woman when she no longer values you, and how stoic detachment flips the script completely. Because the truth is simple. When a woman loses a man of peace, she doesn't just lose attention, she loses stability. She loses the mirror that once made her feel safe. Let's break it down. 1. The emotional mirror, how value is reflected. At the beginning of every relationship, a woman doesn't fall in love with your looks or words. She falls in love with how she feels around you. You become her emotional mirror. If she feels seen, secure, and desired, she begins to attach. But when she starts to lose respect, something subtle happens. She stops seeing her reflection in you. Her ego wants control. Her emotions want safety. When she senses that you're willing to tolerate disrespect just to keep her, she subconsciously begins to devalue you. This is psychological, not personal. Human beings, especially in attraction dynamics, assign value based on boundaries. A man who accepts being treated poorly communicates, "My worth depends on you." And the moment she feels that, her respect collapses. Now here's where most men fail. They try to regain that respect through pleasing behavior. They chase validation, they argue, they explain, but every act of emotional desperation only reinforces her belief that she's in control. Stoicism teaches the opposite. You don't react to loss, you observe it. You don't demand respect, you embody it. When you stop trying to convince her of your value and simply walk with silent certainty, she's forced to look inward. She begins to sense the void. The emotional mirror that once reflected her importance is gone, and that absence is louder than any argument. In London, I once heard a man describe this beautifully. She left thinking she'd find better, but what she really missed was how calm she felt when I was around. That calm wasn't me fixing her, it was me being me. When you hold your peace, you hold your power. And that's the first thing she feels slip away, the emotional stability she took for granted. The shift of power, silence as the ultimate response. When a woman doesn't value you, she often expects chaos in your reaction. She expects anger, long messages, maybe even begging, because those reactions confirm something crucial to her ego. She still matters. But when you go silent, not out of manipulation, but self-respect, something in her world trembles. For the first time, she faces an unfamiliar emotion: irrelevance. Silence is not passive, it's powerful. It forces reflection, it creates mystery, and it reveals the contrast between emotional noise and inner peace. Psychologically, this triggers what's known as cognitive dissonance. Her mind struggles to reconcile her belief that you needed her with your calm disappearance. That confusion makes her replay the story in her head over and over. She begins to wonder, was I wrong? Did he stop loving me? Did he finally realize he deserves better? And that mental loop is where the real pain begins. Because women are emotional processors. They need closure, validation, or some sense of control. Your silence removes all three. In Toronto, a man named Daniel told me, when she left, I wanted to explain everything. But instead, I said nothing. A month later, she texted, "I can't stop thinking about you." That's when I realized silence was louder than any speech. Stoic men understand that peace is not withdrawal. It's presence without chaos. When you choose silence, you stop giving her emotional energy to feed on, and the absence of that energy reveals the truth. Her power was never real, it was borrowed from your reactions. So when you detach, she's left alone with her reflection, and that reflection can be painful. Be the collapse of control, when she realizes you've changed. Every relationship, even broken ones, runs on energy exchange. She gives emotion. You give stability. But when she doesn't value you, the balance collapses. She expects you to keep showing up. She expects your attention, your validation, your presence, even when she gives little in return. Why? Because she assumes your emotions are anchored to her approval. Then one day you stop. You stop texting first. You stop explaining your silence. You stop reacting. At first she feels relief, freedom, space, maybe even pride. But as time passes, that pride turns to discomfort. Because now she's not sure what you're thinking. You've become unpredictable. That unpredictability threatens her emotional control. It forces her to reevaluate her image of you. The man she thought was dependent has become independent. The one she dismissed now radiates detachment, and that's magnetic. Psychologically, attraction thrives on uncertainty. When you were chasing, she felt safe in knowing you were hers. But when you detach, that certainty vanishes and her mind starts searching for reasons. In Los Angeles, a man once told me, "She blocked me for being too emotional." 6 months later, she came back asking if I'd moved on. I hadn't said a word. My silence did the talking. When she realizes that you no longer orbit around her validation, the illusion of control crumbles, and that collapse hurts not because she lost you, but because she lost her ability to define you. Stoicism is not about revenge. It's about transcendence. When you change from within, you no longer need closure. Your growth becomes its own statement. For the emotional echo, when she faces herself, there's a strange thing that happens after a man truly lets go. He stops checking her social media. He stops wondering who she's with. He stops trying to win. He simply moves forward. At first, she doesn't notice. She's busy filling her void with distractions, new people, parties, validation. But over time, something unexpected begins to happen. She starts to feel echoes of you. It happens in random moments. Hearing a song you both liked, walking past a place you used to go, or meeting a man who looks confident but lacks your calm energy. That's when it hits her. The peace she once felt around you wasn't common. It was rare, and she mistook it for boredom because she confused chaos with passion. This realization comes late, when you're already gone emotionally. Psychologically, this is known as delayed regret. Her mind begins to process the loss only when there's no longer a chance of getting it back. That's why the man who chases gets ignored. But the man who detaches gets remembered, not because he played games, but because his stillness created contrast. In Manchester, a woman once admitted, "He wasn't exciting, he was steady." But now I realize that steadiness was peace, and I can't find it again. That's the emotional echo. It's her own soul reminding her of what she took for granted, and that echo hurts far more than any argument ever could. 5. The Stoic shift, turning pain into power. Here's where your transformation begins, because while she may be dealing with emotional echoes, you're rebuilding your frame. The Stoic man doesn't chase revenge or recognition. He seeks alignment. He turns heartbreak into discipline. You start to hit the gym, not to impress her, but to rebuild your mind. You set boundaries, not to prove value, but to protect peace. You re-enter solitude, not as punishment, but as preparation. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." That's what Stoicism teaches. Your pain is simply nature redirecting you toward strength. When she doesn't value you, the pain you feel isn't rejection, it's revelation. It's the universe showing you where your self-worth was outsourced. Every text you overanalyzed, every moment you overgave, every time you felt unseen, all of it was a lesson in emotional sovereignty. When you finally accept that you can love without attachment, care without control, and give without expectation, that's when you transcend. Women may come and go, but peace becomes your permanent companion. And ironically, that's when they come back, not because you want them, but because they feel your shift. In New York, a man told me, "She texted me after months saying, 'You've changed.' I smiled. Because I didn't change for her, I changed for me." That's Stoicism in motion, silent evolution. You don't prove, you improve. And that improvement is the quiet revenge life gives you for every moment you were misunderstood. 6. The return. When she sees what she lost. There's always a moment, weeks or months later, when she starts to look back. Maybe she sees your life moving forward. Maybe she hears from mutual friends that you've changed. Or maybe she just feels the emptiness of her choices. That's when curiosity turns into regret. She'll replay the moments you were kind, the times you were patient, the way you always stayed grounded. And suddenly, those qualities she dismissed as boring now look like emotional gold. But here's the truth. By the time she realizes it, you've evolved beyond needing her validation. And that's the real hurt, not your silence, not your absence, but your evolution. Psychologically, this creates what experts call loss of frame reattachment. She tries to re-enter your life to restore her old sense of power, but she no longer recognizes the man she once knew. He's calmer, sharper, detached. That contrast becomes her pain, because she can no longer access the emotional version of you she once took for granted. In Sydney, a man named Michael said, "When she came back, I didn't feel anger. I felt nothing. And that's when I knew I was free. Freedom. That's the ultimate lesson Stoicism teaches. The goal isn't to hurt her back. It's to heal yourself so deeply that her presence or absence no longer defines your peace. And that's what hurts a woman the most, not losing you, but losing the version of herself that existed when she was loved by you." Conclusion. In the end, what hurts a woman the most isn't your anger, your silence, or even your absence. It's your transformation. Because once you rise from pain with peace, she realizes she can no longer touch your emotions. The very thing she once controlled. You've become what every stoic man becomes after heartbreak. Unshakable. Not cold, not bitter. Just free. When you stop chasing validation and start embodying value, the balance of power shifts forever. You no longer need to be understood, because you understand yourself. And that's the kind of strength the modern world rarely sees. The quiet strength that moves mountains without making noise. Remember this truth. Peace is the most powerful revenge, and your detachment is the mirror that forces others to see who they truly are. So stand firm, stay calm, keep your frame, and never lose yourself for someone who can't see your worth. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.